Good day, everybody. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Just Bleed Radio. Today is Sunday, August 18th, 2024, and this is the Weekend Roundup, episode 19.
You're right, you do sound more confident than Austin. That was great. That was great.
Cockney.
It was a brave attempt. JK will probably pick it out if we ask him to compare him anyway, because he hates me because I fake invited him to the show once.
All right, let's just get right into this. What's up, everyone? What the fuck is going on, my blood and bone brothers? Welcome to episode East 1999 of the Weekend Roundup. Cleveland is the city where I come from, so run to the like button and smash it before I go all Mo Murder on your asses. All right, that's enough of that. As I said, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're exploding like a Youngstown tune-up lately. You can Google that later. So do yourselves a favor and get in while the getting's good. Just Bleed Radio is the official home of casual content for combat connoisseurs. Now, you know I'm not alone in this endeavor. The gang is all here. And while we may not be 5 true thugs from the double Glock, we are ready to get thuggish-ruggish on last night's fights. Your hosting lineup for today: a man very familiar with Western coasts, albeit the Cali variety, not Australian. He's the biggest Robert Whittaker fan around, and that's got to count for something down under. That's our boy, Austin Bone.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Next is the English Night Owl of the North, who may or may not be sipping spirits as we record this. Also, the only panel member who would likely have actual double Glocks if handguns were legal where he lives. He's the OG Danger Bone.
Hi, you guys. Yep, I would indeed be quite happy to partake in some pistol shit's going off.
And lastly, a man and his road dog, street certified and vet checked. They got skits and bits and kibbles and bits. Give it up for Dave and Chatry Bone. Okay, and of course,
all this bone stuff is going straight over my head. I know you posted something on the Discord.
Come on, man! It's Bone Thugs in Harmony.
Yeah, not big in the UK. I hate to break it to them.
Oh, come on!
just wait till their first single drops on Conor McGregor's Greenback Records.
Shall most likely miss. Thankfully.
And me, I am that motherfucker Lazybed. Excuse me, Lazybed. Guys, let's do this shit.
Great job.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
All right, mate. Unlike the breakdancing at this year's Olympics, Australia did not disappoint on Saturday night. Ready and raucous, live from the RAC Arena in Perth, Western Australia, the Aussie crowd was roaring like a wildfire from fight one of the main card. But the fans weren't the only ones fanning the flames, as our main event of the evening had plenty heat of its own. Now, despite being a very late night or early morning for all those in attendance, the temperature was high, and I was even higher. So let's not come down or cool off just yet, guys. Let's get right into this breakdown. Starting with the opening bout of the main card. The returning Li the Leech Jingliang back in the octagon for some action after a near 2-year layoff due to a particularly nagging neck injury. He was offered no favors by the matchmakers at the UFC when they paired him against streaking contender and full-flavored cigarette consumer Carlos Dirtstick Prates. These two locked horns and swung for the moon last night, but ultimately, pleasant dreams turned to a recurring nightmare for the Leech as Prates became the first man to put away Jing Liang by knockout. Lee came into this bout off a long layoff, as we previously discussed on the preview show, and also entered the bout as the most tenured Chinese-born fighter on the UFC roster. We did make predictions for these main card fights on the preview show, for which we were basically all in unison. That's right, we all had Prates here outside of Chatri, which means the humans were right and the canine was wrong. Dudes rule, dogs drool. So here's my question, guys. With the fight now over and the butt still smoldering in the ashtray, does Prates have what it takes to smoke his way to the top 5 of 170? Danger, we'll go to you first. And if you have anything else besides my question there, feel free to add it.
Yeah, what can you say about this fight? I mean, we had Prates with the 6.5 reach advantage. I mean, just the ape index on this guy, that's crazy. That must be horrible to face someone like that. And then we had round 1. It was just really, Prates really put it on Lee. It's not that Lee didn't come back at times. It wasn't like he went down without showing some spirit. And it's amusing that I heard the commentary team saying, "Oh, Lee's never been stopped. He's never been stopped at all in a fight." And then, of course, Prates actually floored him in the 3rd round. Just like 48 seconds left or something like that. I've just been chopping this up for a potential video in the future, so I have just watched it. So yeah, Prates, as you said, the amusing thing with the cigarette, begging for a cigarette at the press conference afterwards. Um, also mentioned that I think it was either today or yesterday had been his birthday. So yeah, I don't know if he did, but Dana should definitely give him his 50k birthday present there. And as you said, Lazy, we did do some talk about this on the preview show, and Austin called this one 100%. I did say that the nightmare would descend on Lee, and sure enough, it did. Really, really impressive performance by Prates. And Lee, tough as old leather, nothing, no giving him at all. Just met the better man on the night, as you say, a 2-year layoff or whatever it was, never going to be good for someone. So, but yeah, as for Prates, just a quick look at the top numbers. Yeah, I could see him a number of targets from inside the top 15. Holland, Page. I'm not sure about Page actually. Luque maybe. Magny. Buckley's fighting someone, isn't he? Very shortly. I forgot who it was. Is it Wonderboy?
No, I don't think
No.
it is.
Okay, I know
I
he's
can't.
fighting.
It's not.
Yeah. So yeah, definite potential for him inside the top 15. I don't know if I've gone off course of the question you wanted there, but
No. And actually, it is Wonderboy. To correct you, Austin, there, it is
Oh,
Wonderboy.
God damn it. I understand why that mention was being made. I could have sworn it wasn't a thing. Oh, my God.
But yeah, I'll explain in a moment here after Austin answers why I specifically asked about the top 5. But yeah, Austin, what do you think?
just to
Is our
interrupt
man?
there, the count
Go
of
ahead.
casual strikes again.
Yeah, so Austin, does he have what it takes to smoke his way into the top 5 of 170?
He has it. I just don't want to see it just yet. I think he can. I think he can, just based off of his ability, just to thump and just. For as tall and lanky as he is, he's more willing to fight in the pocket, which is just as scary. So him pressuring, backing up the leech, who's never usually a guy to back up. Matter of fact, the leech is usually kind of like riding the circle on the inside, kind of prowling forward occasionally, and then swinging. If he's on the outside, it's because he's waiting for a counter. He's not that kind of guy to just sit and wait for counters a long time. Like, he's more than willing to bang if he has to, but he's more like, okay, I'll throw one punch, throw another punch, and then throw a couple with a knee and a leg kick at the end, and then possibly look to clinch against the cage. He's your basic limited MMA fighter from outside of the U.S. Like, he's gonna have a couple of things that he does very well, but he's not gonna do them all the time. Pratis seems to be the guy who's like, all right, I did enough of this kickboxing on the regional scene. I really want to excel in the MMA scene. And he got a call from the UFC, and now he's here. In his 2 fights, he's finished both of his opponents, who are not small dudes for the weight class, and he finished them both with relative ease. And that's not something we see all the time at welterweight. Matter of fact, we usually see guys kind of go out there and have kind of dog fights or lackluster performances when they first come into the UFC, especially at welterweight. That's not the case. This dude's ready, and he's ready to move up. I would not want to see him against the top 5 anytime soon. That's just me. I like slow cooking these guys, especially he's 31 right now. And according to Fight Matrix, he is 42 in the world. What I would say is, why not give him someone who's close to his age just to kind of test him a little bit, but that's outside the rankings. If you were going to say, give him somebody, you could give him Jake Matthews. That'd be one that, or you could have him just kill the old guys.
That's
like, yeah.
kind of what I got in mind here, and that's sort of why I was asking this, because like you mentioned there, his age, he is 31. Now I do think that with his skill set, and especially with his prowess for finishing fights and making exciting fights, I think this is the kind of guy that the UFC is going to want to market, and they're going to want to get their money's worth out of him sooner rather than later, because he is 31, and the wheels aren't going to exactly necessarily fall off immediately, but
Wouldn't
he's only got.
it be better off just moving up to middleweight?
No,
No, you
No.
don't think? No.
no, because look at the division. Look at the division. It's got
Yeah.
ranked dudes that are still waiting in line. There's more
Yeah.
inconsistency with how that ranking and that line going up to the title is. Whereas welterweight seems to have a bunch of guys ready to fight. There's going to be a lot of consistency with people moving forward,
Bingo.
and that's going to be the difference. Where he has the ability, as long as he keeps winning in emphatic fashion, he'll get
Yes.
zooted up the line.
That's the other half of why I was asking this question, not only because of his age, but because of the state of the UFC welterweight division. Now, there's a lot of guys in there that are of an advanced age that I don't think are going to be sticking around for too much longer. And with the relative activity of a champion like Bilal, who's going to want to stay active, I think that you're going to see a lot of movement in this division over the next couple of years. And it's very possible that if he keeps stringing together fights like this, he could take out a guy like a Kevin Holland. He could take out a Luque. He could take out a Magny. Even possibly a Jeff Neal or a Stephen Thompson. So he could see himself moving up these rankings relatively quickly. So my question is, when he starts getting up into that upper tier, that upper room, 170, is he going to have what it takes to compete with these guys? So, but time is short. So if you're the UFC and if you're Protez, you want to cash in on this fast, but not too fast.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's struggling against most of the top 5. Maybe Jack Madalena he might have a fun fight against.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's Colby.
We've yet to really
Why the hell is Colby still at number 4?
Yeah.
Because of stupid UFC rankings. Those shouldn't count. We should only consider other rankings because the UFC is just fucking retarded with their rankings.
It's the page I have open, so.
God, I hate this. Dave knows. Dave knows my frustrations with the UFC rankings. I read rankings for a good couple of months later, but he read them with me, and oh dear God, the arguments we used to have over the rankings. Yeah.
Well, I guess we can wrap up this little segment here on this fight by saying that I do believe sooner rather than later we will find out if Protez is a twisted fire starter or just another donk smoking in the boys' room.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of dad jokes this episode, so you guys gotta bear with me.
That was good. That was good. I liked it though.
All right. Next on the card, we were presented with the gift of an Apex level fight on a numbered PPV show. when two tubby tankers waddled their way to the cage. Bum Bum Tai Hawk Tuivasa had one of the fights of all time against Jar Jar Binks Rising-Stroke. Now, uh, would we see Bum Bum finally get to scratch that itch and drink warm beer from another man's sneaker? Or would good old Jar Jar manage to string together 2 W's for the first time since 2019? These were the questions, and this was the answer. No frothy foot bruise for Tui, because Biggie Boy got it done. Turning over a new leaf at his ripe old age and handing Hawk Tuivasa his 5th consecutive loss. Now, yet again, 3 out of the 4 voting members of our little Blood and Bone Thugs group were all on Biggie Boy, except for Chatri, who was riding with Ty. Smooth move, Chach.
Bless Chatri.
However, the fight itself wouldn't be the story of the matchup because a particular judge who must have been sculling stubbies, if I'm getting that phrase correctly there, all morning, he must have turned in one of the worst scorecards in UFC history when he scored the fight 30-27 for Ty. Just absolutely fucking egregious, to say the least. But fortunately, in a move brought to light by John Anik during the broadcast, the aforementioned judge was relieved of his assignments for the remainder of the night. Now, Austin, you know a thing or two about beer, but you usually drink it from a glass or a can instead of a shoe, I think. After watching these two walruses tangle, how did you have this fight scored? And what are your thoughts on the atrocity that is this judging?
I mean, yes. Spitting into a shoe with a whole bunch of beer in it is not my traditional method of partaking in alcoholic beverages. But I am not here to judge. Yes, not here to judge how you drink it as long as you enjoy it. As far as the fight, I definitely had Jairzinho just kind of doing the same thing that he did in this fight, just essentially circling the outside and occasionally just waiting too long, like seriously too long for a counter. But then after the first initial exchanges, they kind of got back into a rhythm. But it always just seemed like he just was a step ahead of Bam Bam. And I don't know if that's just because he was already the better kickboxer, which it showed, or the problem being that Ty is just that's not that guy anymore. I mean, hell, I had it. I don't know about you guys. I had it 30-27 for Jairzinho, and the Biggie Boy pretty much was just a step ahead the entire time, even when they were kind of swinging and banging. Like, Ty just could not keep up with the better striker, even though he's the younger guy. Like, Jairzinho is, I think, 36, I think, at this point, if I'm not mistaken. But he didn't do a whole lot, but when Bam Bam rushed him, he basically countered him perfectly. And there's not a whole lot you could say about this fight. This was the fight that we all were pretty much all agreeing that was going to happen, except Kai showed up and actually tried, even though someone literally tried to give the fight to him. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, someone from New Zealand. It's weird. I don't even know how you'd get 30-27 to begin with for Ty. That's like homerism, except he's not. I don't think Ty's from New Zealand, is he?
No.
They're in New Zealand. I thought that was in Australia. Those guys, I thought they all were in Sydney.
Geography. We know this isn't. Yeah. This isn't what we do, DC.
That's not what I do.
Fighting.
I swore the whole time these guys were training in Australia, bro.
Okay, so that's just weird. It's weird. Someone put it into the Discord of a possible judge of what his looks, because I didn't know what his looks were going to be like, and it was Mark Hunt with a fake nose and goggles face. I'm like, oh, that would make sense. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of looking at this and I'm thinking, like, damn it, this is the tie that would win if it wasn't a good kickboxer. Like, he fights anybody else in the division like that, he probably wins. And the sad part is they actually put him up against a tough foul in Jairzinho, who doesn't, give you that whole easy fight. He actually makes a tough, difficult fight.
Yeah, you say he beats anyone. He doesn't, but okay.
What do you want me to say?
I want you to be relatively honest. I mean, you can't say he beats anyone in the division. Could you honestly see him beating Tom Aspinall?
No. What? Anyone that's not a competent kickboxer.
Anyone
I would say.
Yeah, we understand.
No, I said competent kickboxer. I said, that's what I say. What did I say specifically? Read it back. End of the day, we'll either deny me this or condemn me. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm kind of looking at this and I'm thinking, like, damn it, this is the tie that would win if it wasn't a good kickboxer. Like, he fights anybody else in the division like that, he probably wins. Yeah, no, there's not a whole lot you can say about this situation because now Ty's on a 5-fight losing streak, and that's not good. Jairzinho was only on a 1-fight winning streak, I think.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Now, this is the first time that Jairzinho has had 2 back-to-back wins since 2019.
Wow.
So yeah, there was quite a bit on the line. Yeah, quite a bit on the line. Miles, what do you think? Do you think that what's your opinions on the judging, and then also how did you have the fight scored yourself?
Okay. The first thing I put down, I noticed Ty's kicking, and he was trying to kick high, and it was just almost comedic. I was almost laughing as I was watching it. And then I think sometime towards the end of the first round, the UFC gave their scores, and Ty was on 4 out of 21 significant strikes. So it was like, oh my God, that's a clear 10-9 for Rosenstruck at that point. Round 2, we actually had Ty did come forward. He did apply some pressure. And then, of course, Jai just started fighting back as well. Then we had the little incident where Ty hurt his foot kicking Jai's knee with his toes. Never a good way of actually kicking someone, as someone pointed out. You kick with the shin in this game. You don't kick with your toes. But to be fair, Ty did come back swinging from that. It was a much, much better round for Ty, but he still lost it. And I didn't have any doubt on that. Then the round 3, I put in my notes, Ty needs a finish, and he didn't get one. So it was no shoey for Tui. And I was thinking it at the time as I was watching it, unless the Royal Society for the Blind is judging this fight, there is no way anyone can score this for Tai Tuivasa. And then what did the judges do? One of them gave it to him 30-27. Herbie Booth, Is it Howie?
Howie?
Howie Booth scored it 30-27, and unless he comes out and admits that he took no notice of what he was doing and scored it for the wrong guy, then the commission was quite right to drag him away from the stage at that point and not allow him any further, anything further to do with this card.
Yeah,
that was arguably one of the worst cards I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure someone could find an equally bad one, but no, not a chance. That was a 30-27 for Jairzinho Rosenstruck. No argument whatsoever.
Quick question, real quick. Sorry to intervene. This was the Australian commission, athletic commission that was present, correct? This wasn't like, okay. So that's interesting because usually when the UFC goes out of country and they don't have a commission, they act as their own commission, right? They usually bring what's his name from the Nevada Athletic Commission to basically be their guy at events. They had a commission there, so that means the UFC either basically coordinated, hey, this guy either doesn't know what he's doing, we don't want him here, in which case it's interesting that the commission obliged their request, or they're like, bro, you're going to make us look bad, you need to go.
Yeah, it was one of the major cock-ups of the night. I just want to say, I know Lazy already mentioned that this was the 5th loss for Ty, and it's one step closer to being the Tony Ferguson of heavyweight. Which I know annoyed Austin last time I said it, so I had to bring it up again. So Lazy will probably suggest this one anyway. Off to BKFC for for Tai to reverse it.
Oh, god damn it.
I've been calling it for fucking months, man. It's the most reasonable, logical place for him.
I'm
He-
sorry. It's Merciless Mouse tonight. I'm sorry.
I'll
God.
keep my thoughts short on this one. All I'll say is that for Jairzinho or Jar Jar Binks, it was a good fucking fight. That was a good showing for him at his age and his fight style. It's very rare that you see a guy able to kind of dial it back and not be a total fucking freak in there and actually show some patience, show some vision, and you know, follow a game plan. So that was really nice to see from him. He looked sharp and he had a nice showing. Ty, I mean, you guys basically covered it all, but dude, like, I don't even think you're trying in there at this point. I don't think you're fucking trying. Like, you don't ever show up in any better shape. You don't show up with any new techniques or, oh, look, no, you know, Ty's fucking pulling this out of the bag. I never seen him do that. Like, it's the same fucking cut and dry story every single time with him. And like, I just, fan favorite or not, dude, you're taking up a spot on the roster for somebody that's actually strive to be a better fucking fighter. So take your skill set
Damn.
that's tailor made for something like BKFC and go fucking down there. You're gonna make good money. You're gonna get to do all the fucking things you love. You'll get to drink your beer and fucking be a fat sloppy bastard, and it's gonna be successful. So just do the logical thing, Ty, and fucking take your ass to BKFC. That's
God damn. Just fucking put him in the grave now. Lazy's over here pouring dirt on the guy. He's still breathing.
Is he though? Is he really breathing?
Barely.
I mean, come on. He is like what, 30 right now, right? I
in a
think
row. 5 in a row.
on behalf of Ty, I think he's just limited. I think that's the problem. He is very limited, and you could call him a typical blob of a heavyweight who just happens to be better chinned and, you know, has a decent kick, like decent boxing in the pocket game.
He is peak fat guy at the apex.
Yes, that is accurate. He's that dude that you can throw, and he's the better of the apex heavyweights. He's that. It's like it's
that's his skill set, and his skill set isn't improving. But you can't put a name like him in the apex. You have to put him on these big cards, and he fucking lays an egg every time.
you gotta give him wins. You can't have him fight the best. We know what his limits are. We gotta give him wins. You gotta give him wins.
If he can't fight the best, what the fuck is he doing in the top 15?
You could say that about a lot of fighters on the roster. Thank you.
You're right, though. That's the thing, though. You're right, Austin, and that's the problem because their suggestion for what you do with him last night at the post-fight show at the desk was to give him the first debuting heavyweight that they can find. Somebody who's never fought in the UFC before. It's their very first fight. Put him against Ty. That's their next suggestion. Dude,
What?
you've been in the UFC for fucking how long now, bro? And we got to give you some noob that just walked in off the street from the Contender Series? Like,
we're gonna make him gatekeeper to the heavyweight division. Is that the plan?
I don't hate it, but still, that's like, what was that thing we were talking about where it's like the idea of like guys who are on a skid, put them in in a different series, specifically one that's on Tuesday nights. But that's not my idea. That is someone who's already here hosting this podcast's idea.
that is
I'm just thinking about this out loud. Like, if it came down to the idea of letting him go, I don't think this hurts Ty in the long run. It's just kind of like there are other fighters that we can let go, and Ty's not on the top of my list of letting go. I'm just saying.
I think that Ty would lose to 3 out of 4 heavyweights from any of the random regional MMA shows that I watch. I think he would lose to guys from the CFFC. He would lose to guys from the LFA. He would lose to fucking 90% of the guys on the Contender Series. Like what does he have other than flinging his fucking fat arms around? That's all he's got.
And he needs to come to England and train at Tom's gym.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be
He needs
yes
to be
and no.
He needs to be the night watchman at the Drink West Brewery. That's what he needs to fucking be.
Ty's got a lot of business interests from what I understand. So Ty's obviously more interested in making money. He turns up these, he has a good time. Maybe he gets a shoey. If not, he gets a nice payday. I'm sure he's taking a fairly tidy penny from the UFC. He's not going to be a 50k fighter, is he? Let's face it.
No, but like at the same time, it's like you don't have that many heavyweights to division. You've already made a laughing stock of the division for not having Tom fight the actual champion. Like what? You can't degrade the division more by taking away guys that the division needs. Now, granted, they probably should matchmake him differently. I mean, hell, if we're going to let him go, why not just let him go to the PFL? He'll probably win the tournament.
All right, well, there, but that's PFL for later.
I didn't intend for us to go this long on Tai Tuivasa.
So I hated the topic.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
I'm going to move us along here.
You made a mistake. You gave Austin the topic I wanted, and me the topic Austin probably was best.
My fault. Okay, all right. Third bout of the main card was looking to be a good scrap with sneaky fun possibilities, and those premonitions rang true as New Zealand and Poland squared off in the lightweight division. Number 11, Dan the Hangman Hooker against top 5 stalwart Mateusz Gamer Gamrot. Now, the fight itself was a relatively back-and-forth affair, with both men having their moments, including some shocking effectiveness in the striking department from Gamrot. The real story here, though, was the resurgence of the Hangman as he overcame the odds and secured what I believe was a split decision victory. This fight would mark Hooker's third win in a row since losing to Arnold Allen at featherweight back in March of 22. Also, for the first time of the night, the entire crew was in agreement here as we all went with Gamrot, which means at least we've got egg on all of our faces together, I guess. With Gamrot being 33 and Hooker 34, when the dust settled and the cage cleared, what were your thoughts on the careers of both these men going forward, Dangermouse?
Okay. This was a fun fight. I think it scored as the fight of the night. I'm not sure. It was certainly up there. If not, as you said, we all went for Gamrot and we were all completely wrong. Dan did look pretty good in this. It didn't allow Gamrot wasn't able to keep him down for any particular time, and I had Dan probably stealing the first round, even though he took a bit of damage in that round. And I noticed the Twitterati that they put up, they were scoring it for Gamrot as well. So I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Maybe Dan did get it after all. And then the second round, it was I can't remember exactly how the fight went on that one. I did wonder how much the new downed opponent rules might count on this fight, because there was a lot of times Gamrot was stood up with his head shoved into Dan's hips, and I was thinking that he could bring some knees up here and cause some damage in this case. So I wonder how that might have played out. But I did live it after the second round. Dan Hardy was back in his corner, and he's got the cut man working on him and all the rest of this stuff, and these crew talking to him and telling me what's needed. And Dan just turned around and went, "I love this shit," and I was like, "Oh my god, that is so pure Dan Hooker." This shit. Let's go. So yeah, absolute props to him there. I'm going to clip that later. And then we had round 3, another fairly close round. I said in my own notes, I put down that Dan might have stolen this one. I really wasn't sure, but either way, I wouldn't have hated the result. But then Dan did get the split decision. He had a load of fun on the mic. He was calling out everybody from Conor McGregor to I can't even remember, probably Francis Ngannou. I don't know. It was just everybody. So, but I did put congratulations, Dan. You are now the official lightweight gatekeeper.
How you like me now? How you like me now?
Because I don't see him doing great against the top 5 that are now above him. And that kind of goes into what you said, what was next for these fighters. Can't be Chandler's number 6 anyway, but can't be Chandler because I believe he's still tied up with Connor. I think the team suggested it, or someone suggested it. Charles Oliveira, might have been Jed Meshew actually. They said that's the next fight for him, which I guess could be fun. Justin Gaethje would be fun for him. That would be a brawl. We know it would. That's probably a fight I'd enjoy more than Charles, just because of the submission threat of Charles. Gamrot, I guess he has to fight. I don't know. He hasn't fought Poirier, has he? Then again, I can't see Poirier wanting to fight him.
They're teammates, and I think they're like pals.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that helped train him for Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. I don't know then. Probably, I guess Gamrot has to go down. So maybe Dariush, Fiziev. There's Max Holloway there, but I don't think he's going to be fighting him. Moicano's already booked, I believe. Yeah, I guess Dariush or someone like that.
Yeah, I could see that. My suggestions were going.
Just quickly, I did want to say we did all mess this up, but the brutally wrong award for how this fight would go goes to Austin. Because I listened to it and you were super nasty on that, how Dan Hooker was going to get messed up in this, and Lazy was pretty harsh too. But at least I did say that I had hopes for Dan in this one. Neither of you bastards did anything like that. So yeah, I'm claiming the moral victory here.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! You win the main event, go whatever.
Yeah, I did say that I thought he would be pulverized and wrestled into oblivion. I'll cop to that. All right, Austin. Well, I was just gonna say real quick that my suggestions would probably be like you mentioned, Dangermouse. I do like the Gagey matchup for our boy Hooker. I think that would be just a fun fight. Like how could that not be fun? And then if he is booked, it's a shame because I would like to see Gamrot take on Moicano. I think that would be a fun grappling affair and a fairly equal bout on the feet. So maybe down the line. But yeah, Austin, what are your thoughts? What's the future hold for the careers of these aging men?
Well, first off, I thought it could have gone either way. It could have. That's the thing. We looked at the fight. We're like, oh shit, this is close. I think Dan did steal it at the very end because he clipped Gamrot right at the very end of the fight. And I'm thinking, because that round was competitive both ways, because like it's literally the fight literally starts off with Gamrot wanting to engage in the stand-up. I'm like, oh shit, I did not predict this. Sure enough, he drops Hooker, and you're like, oh shit, oh no, this is not what we were planning. He's gonna get confident with his hands, and sure enough, he thought he was gonna be able to kickbox with the fucking guy who's taller than him. Sure enough, Dan realizes, oh yeah, he wants to fight. I'll give him a fight, and just starts swinging and banging with him, and he realizes Dan is a guy who doesn't like to use his length because he'll literally fight in the pocket with you, a la both Paul Felder, Dustin Poirier, a couple of other fights that are sprinkled at lightweight as well as featherweight occasionally. He just doesn't really like to use his length when he really should, because half the time he'll do it and he just kind of gets bored, or like the Claudio Puelles fight where it's like, he'll just kind of be like, all right, you're just actually not going to engage with on the feet with me. Very well. I'll just pick you apart and make you, embarrassed to be in the ring with me. Or he'll do the Jalen Turner fight where it's like he literally is battered and bruised and should have been knocked out 3 different ways to Sunday. And he somehow manages to pull a win out of his ass because he's Dan fucking Hooker. Of course he does. But this fight is the antithesis of what the UFC prefers. They prefer guys who are willing to lose because they're willing to fight the way that the promotion wants them to. Dan Hooker is pretty much that in spades. He is not the greatest grappler. He is not the greatest striker. He's actually a pretty decent but not great middle of the pack lightweight. He'll just happen to beat everybody else on his way to the top 10. And this is the one instance that you could say he's in the top 10 and possibly challenging the top 5. The only fight I would like to see him in is against Charles Oliveira, because otherwise, what are we fucking doing here if that's the case? If not, Dustin's already coming off of a loss. Justin's already coming off of a loss. Charles is the one who came off of a title eliminator loss that was for the title. And yes, Dustin did fight for the title, but arguably he should not have been given the opportunity to fight for the title, but that's neither here nor there. As far as Gamrot, this is the thing I hate about this fucking sport, is that we'll watch a guy who's great in his particular aspect, a guy who's a great wrestler, a guy who's a great athlete, basically be put in positions where he's not able to just carry out his game plan because he's just missing something. In this fight, he actually did try to bring it in, and he tried it too much, and when it failed, when his striking wasn't what it needed to be to win the round, he doubled down on his wrestling so hard that it was almost embarrassing to watch him do the head down immediately to the ankle bite takedowns. Or he was literally head down to where you couldn't, be confident in that he was going to get the takedowns, because it was just like desperation. And that's the thing where I'm like, as a guy who enjoys wrestling, I'm like, that's not confident wrestling. That's desperate wrestling, where you're looking for any little opportunity to get the takedown instead of actually bulldozing the guy in front of you, because it's not like Dan Hooker has the greatest takedown defense. But this is what the UFC does. They ruin careers. And, it sucks to see Gamrot kind of go through that a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know who you put him up against, though.
I mean, he's likely to probably swap spots with Dan or close to it, so he's going to move down to that 10 range. There are options, but...
Why not Patty? Patty's a grappler. He's not going to do too much stand-up with him. It'd be a fun matchup.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'd prefer that, because then he might actually beat him.
Yeah. Might fall right into his fucking wheelhouse.
Right.
The last thing I'll say on this one, I saw a funny little meme. Dave may or may not add it to this episode, but it was a picture of Hooker and Oliveira standing next to each other, and it says, loses fights early in his career, goes up to lightweight, goes blonde and gets tattoos, becomes a beast and goes on a title run. So it could fucking happen. I don't know. It is possible. And Hooker did say, he was quoted as saying that he's just now gotten good. That was his quote. So
it only took 15 years.
You gatekeeper. Told you.
All right, moving on now into our co-main event of the night. Two little dudes who would absolutely rip your face off and you'd never know it by looking at them. Get ready to do the haka, motherfucker, because Auckland, New Zealand's Don't Blink Kai Kata France.
Fighting out of Auckland, Australia, presenting...
Stood toe-to-toe with a man from the area, Perth, Western Australia's own Astro Boy Steve Erceg, fresh off of his impressive showing in defeat when he challenged for the flyweight title back in May. Very important fight for a division that's seemingly always in flux. And this one delivered the goods in emphatic fashion. Kai would drop Erceg twice, I believe, with the second drop leading to a brief sequence of ground and pound before the ref jumped in and called it. Listed as a right cross to ground strikes at 4:04 of round number 1. After the fight, DC would ask Kata France how he could possibly have 13 first-round finishes as a flyweight, to which Kai replied, "It's because I'm Maori, bro." Fucking the little badass, dude. He's a fucking little badass. The lone detractor in our selections of this fight on the preview show was Good Boy Chatri, who sided with KKF. The rest of us were on Astro Boy. And that proved to be a bit of a spaced out choice. Get it, Astro Boy? Huh?
I was just going to say, good boy Shattery, good boy Shattery.
Two questions though, gents. One, if your Kai Kata fronts, do you wait to find out what's happening with Pantoja and a possible title shot, despite having just come off of a long layoff? And two, is KKF a top 3 hardest hitting 125er of all time? No special, give us your take.
I'll answer your second question first. He's up there. He's definitely up there. I think Horiguchi was the only other guy that was known for just dropping people other than Davis and Figueiredo. And then Pantoja has also got some hands. I think he's up there. I don't know if he's the heaviest hands, but he's definitely one of the top 3 for sure. As far as the division goes, man, like let's look at it right now. We just lost a contender with Makayev.
Yep.
We have Amira Abazi, who I thought won the fight against Kai, but again, it was close. It could have gone either way. I mean, most people would have you think Kai.
Not to cut you off and interject, but
Like-
Albazi's still injured too.
Oh God damn it! I thought he was coming back. Fuck.
No.
Shit. Okay, now that changes my entire thing on this. I mean, shit. If ring rust wasn't real, as Dominic Cruz would have you believe, then I believe these men have basically warned off ring rust. Both Hooker and Kai both come from the same gym as Izzy. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe the apple shouldn't have fallen far for the tree, because I mean that we're going to talk about the main event in a bit. But yeah, no. I mean, fuck, dude. There's not much you could say. He clipped him, but I think it was more like a fraud check. People that were trying to say like, "Oh, Usyk isn't that guy." No, he's still that guy. He's young for the division, but like Kai's been that dude to catch your chin. I mean, if it wasn't, guys who put people down on a regular basis, it's like you kind of forget Kai. Oh, he's that good because he hasn't fought in a long time. That's not his fault, and everybody forgets. It's like when guys who actually put people down don't fight for a long time, you kind of forget that they're good. Kai's still good. The problem is that we don't know what's happening with this division, and it sucks for Usyk because he was the dude that everyone was like, "Oh, he's actually the champion. Had he not gone for the takedown?" It's like, why are you putting that on the guy? He just fucking lost the title. Let him fucking at least, get a couple wins back under his belt. It sucks for him now. He's lost 2 in a row, and this one being a I want to say it wasn't a bad knockout. He got clipped pretty bad. I don't want to even call it an early stoppage, but it just wasn't ideal for him, but that's neither here nor there. This is an unforgiving sport, and sometimes decisions suck like that, but it's not a terrible thing for him. So what are you going to do?
So if you're Kai, what do you do, man? Do you wait around for a potential shot at Pantoja? You got
Yeah.
Royval just fought. I believe he is Royval
He's booked
booked?
against Tetsuro Taira, supposedly.
Okay.
If I'm Kai, I wait to see if that fight actually falls through and be the backup for that fight. If it's Royval, great. If it's not, if it's Tetsuro, that basically puts you back in line regardless with whoever. And then on top of it, you've already taken out the other two. Their other two contenders would have been Makayev, Amir Abazi, and Brandon Moreno's taking himself out of the rankings essentially by basically wanting to take a year off anyways. You are the only other guy that is there. You get one fight in and you're there.
You would do the backup fighter role and just kind of hang around and see what happens?
Exactly. Because if not, then you're ready for the title fight. Let's say, assuming that fight goes through, it doesn't matter because Royval has been a guy he's lost to both Brandon Moreno and won against him, but then he's also lost to Pantoja twice.
Yeah.
It's just a weirdness with the top of the division. He doesn't need to fight anybody else, but if I'm him, you haven't fought in a while, man. You need to get in there and get one more. Just get one more. And then the momentum is there. The momentum is there. He just needs one more win, and pretty much there's nobody else for the title.
Well, yeah. So okay, that's going to lead me into you, Danger Mouse, but that still kind of leaves my question here, because of the fact that, like we were just discussing, Royval is scheduled to take on Tyra. Moreno's still on his long layoff, his self-induced layoff. Albazi's still out with the neck injury. He's been gone for like 4 years. Usyk just got starched by, so we're in a weird spot where he doesn't really have a lot of people that he could take on that are above him. He's going to have to either fight down or wait. So, Danger Mouse, if you're Kai Kara France coming off this win, what do you do?
That's a tough one. This fight took me completely by surprise. I will say that, because I was thinking how great, how cool, calm, collected Steve Usyk looked, and then I blinked and he was laying on the floor with after. It was KK France. He just pushed forward and he didn't stop at 1 or 2 punches. He just kept going. I think he tried it a couple of times. Then he nailed Usyk. I can't remember if it was a left or a right hook. He changed it up slightly, swung it in, flipped him. So yeah, amazing job from Kai Kara France. We all got that one wrong. I think, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, except for
Good,
Chatri.
as you said, good night for City Kickboxing with that one. I have a story about that, but we'll mention it later. Yeah, Kai Kara, as you said, tough spot. I guess he just has to either sit and wait, or he takes on someone slightly higher up and earns himself some money, whatever. Maybe we get the Cap fight that it was supposed to have. Manel Cap.
That could happen, yeah.
He just lost though.
Yeah, I know, but it's just it's a fight that might have some interest behind it. It's stuck in my mind that these two had something going off between them. It's arguably not the greatest risk for Kai Kara France if he's facing someone who's just lost and further down the records. You can call it an easy fight, but I don't know. Otherwise, it's sit on your gloves and wait until a shot at the title becomes available.
It's a very tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of possibly weighing in as the backup for the Tyra and Royval fight, but that's not a title fight, so I don't even know if they're going to have a backup fighter. Yeah, it's a very interesting spot and time for him because, like I said, coming off of a layoff already, you finally get back and get some activity going, but now you're kind of stuck in this stagnant cycle again because your division is like it's in a state of flux. There's not much to say about it. Like I support them in cutting Makayev. Like I think that was, or not cutting rather, but allowing him to go and letting his contract expire. But they are in a bit of a bind with this 125 division. There's not a lot of options for these top guys.
No.
This is the UFC's doing. They choose to do this stupid shit and make it harder on themselves and wonder why people get mad when they let go of fucking prospects for some reason.
Tony, was it Tony the Lion? He agrees with you pretty strongly.
Yeah, we agree on a lot of stuff, actually.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Anyway, let's move it along.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
He sure says a lot. Okay, all right, folks. Before I get myself in trouble, this is it. This is the fight of the night here. Your main event for UFC 305. The current champion, Dinkus Stillknox du Plessis, in a highly anticipated, hotly contested matchup for the middleweight strap against the returning last style bender, Israel Adesanya. Storylines aplenty as we entered into this one. Would Izzy, the long-reigning king of 185, regain his throne and reassert dominance over the division he once ruled so handedly? Or would the fighting pride of South Africa solidify his place as the future of middleweight and the self-proclaimed true African champion? This was a hot-button topic, sure to place fans rather firmly on either side of the equation coming in. Underlying questions turned to answers, however, as DDP successfully defended his championship, submitting Izzy at the 3-minute 38-second mark of round number 4 with a rear naked choke. This result would mark several MMA firsts for Adesanya, the first time he'd ever been submitted, and the first time he'd ever lost 2 fights back-to-back. For Duplessis, he now hoists the scalps of Israel, Strickland, and Whitaker in his last 3 fights. Pretty fucking impressive. Also snatching up his 7th submission victory via RNC. Also impressive. Now, with UFC 305 in the rear view and the events of last night at a close, Dangermouse, in your count of casuals' opinion, are we looking at a lengthy title run here for Dinkus, or do you feel this division will play a bit of hot potato with the championship? Now, there was a fair amount of eligible contenders still nipping at his heels. So, and then if you'd like, also after you answer that, what lies ahead for an Adesanya who seemingly has lost the edge that once made him great?
Okay. Obviously, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. We'll get onto that in a moment. I fell asleep watching the fights last night. I literally saw the early prelims, fell asleep when the prelims started, then woke up this morning, and as I flicked on, I fell asleep in a chair in front of the TV. And as I was moving things about on the multiple screens in front of me, the first post I saw on Discord, which obviously I'm doing my best at this point to avoid any martial arts media because I don't want any spoilers. And the first thing I saw was Beef Le Mans comment, "It's okay, I wanted Izzy to win." And I was like, shit, the result has just been spoiled. The result has just been spoiled for me. It's obvious that Izzy has won this fucking fight. So I'm watching the entire card thinking, yeah, okay, this is good, but I know I'm going to have to watch the end, and it's going to be Drickus losing, and that's going to suck kind of thing. So I start watching the fight, and first round's pretty close. I don't really know how it's going. The Twitterati were all 50-50 on it too. Could have gone either way. And then we had round 2. It was Drickus started attacking, getting the takedowns. I scored that one. I think he got 2 or 3 different takedowns. I scored that one 10-9 for DDP. Then round 3, we had, as Dominic Cruz, we were talking about it before, and Dominic Cruz was pretty much on point last night. And he was saying that forward pressure was the key to victory in this fight, because whenever one of the fighters was going forward, they were winning that round at that time. But again, round 3 was pretty close. I didn't score it either way. And then we had round 4, which coincidentally, if anyone remembers, is the round that I said this fight would end. Now, my two co-hosts here wouldn't allow me the choice of which way I wanted it to be scored. But as far as I remember, at bookies, you can just say which round you predict it will end. And so I said that Drickus du Plessis would win this fight by the 4th round.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Could he get a ground and pound finish on, is he? Yeah, sorry, I'll take a punt because this is very much not a legally binding pick by any means. I will take a 4th round submission. 4th round submission for Drickus.
Jesus,
Wow.
that's a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
He's got the rear naked choke. He's got it in. Wow! Drickus du Plessis submits Israel Adesanya in round 4.
When pushed, I folded a little to peer pressure, and I changed my situation over, and I said, okay, I'll go for Drickus by ground and pound. But as it turned out, no, it was in fact the rear naked choke that Drickus sunk in round 4. And I just want to say that this was an absolutely fantastic performance by Izzy. He looked great. I was really kind of regretting that I'd fallen asleep and didn't have a chance to make a change on this pick. And obviously, I thought that Izzy was going to beat Izzy. Was going to beat Drickus. So as I said, this became a very pleasant surprise. And DDP was pure class in victory on this one. Called Izzy a legend. Said he's a future Hall of Famer, which he undoubtedly is. Nothing but respect from Drickus. And with the entire African champ thing. And he kind of cleared that up as best he could. It was a real shame the UFC managed to mess up the audio for when Izzy was speaking to Daniel Cormier. So I made a comment on my notes about someone being the clown of the night. but we haven't got there yet, or we haven't talked about that fight. So whoever was in charge of the audio last night, clown of the night on the production team, because I didn't hear a damn thing that Drickus said. And then watching the reviews, is DDP's wrestling underrated? Because Austin knows much more than I do about wrestling. But whatever you say about it, he was able to get Izzy down numerous times. He's also managed to get Sean Strickland down multiple times, and that's not the easiest task in the world either. And I know we're going on to what's coming next for them. Or I know too much BHP wanted this question answered anyway. What was next for Izzy? But for Drickus, it seems to be he's going to get another shot at Sean Strickland, or rather, Strickland is going to get another shot at DDP. We'll see how that turns out. And for Izzy, I don't know. For Izzy, I think if he wants another title shot, his next fight has to be the loser of Rob versus Hamzat. And I've completely forgotten what Lazy's question was at the start of this now.
Well, part of it was I had two questions. One of it was too much BHP's question there, which you more or less answered. But the other one was, what do you make of DDP's title run going forward? Do you think he's going to go on a streak of defenses, or do you think that this is kind of going to be a bit of a flash in the pan, and the title will play a bit of hot potato?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I can see him beating Sean again, but I could just as easily see him losing to Sean because they had such a close fight last time. And I will say that points out, you can say what you like about Strickland, but DDP has now beaten Izzy. He beat Austin's favourite, Robert Whittaker, and he finished them both. And he could not do that to Sean Strickland. So hate him all you like, but Sean's shell defense works bloody well.
He doesn't go forward enough, but that's not here today.
Hey, Costa backed off and allowed him to come forward, and
Costa didn't want to fight him. What do you mean? He just chose to run backwards and actually fought Robert Whittaker. At least Robert Whittaker had a real fight with him. God damn it!
You can't blame Sean for how Costa fights. So yeah,
no, I can blame Costa for that.
If I can just finish, I could see DDP beating Sean. I could see that. I'll obviously most likely be cheering for Sean. This will be a tough pick for me because I like them both. I'm not sure who else is in there.
Well, that's if Costa. I'm sorry, not Costa. Hamzat beats Whittaker.
Yes, Imavov would be the next option, or perhaps the winner of Cannonier versus who did we just say he was fighting?
Carlo Baralio.
Yeah, the guy with the horrible
fighting nerds guy.
Yeah, horrible neck tattoo fighting nerds. Yeah, filed away in my little head mansion there for that one. Yeah, I guess it's Sean Strickland next for DDP, and I can see him getting past Sean, and then who knows from there. I'm not saying he will beat Sean, but I could see it happening. So yeah. I won't waffle on anymore.
All right, Austin. Same questions to you. Firstly, what kind of run do we see for DDP as middleweight champ? And what do you think is best for a 35-year-old Izzy?
Okay. I'll talk about the fight first real quick. Be brief on it because Mouse pretty much laid it out perfectly. Izzy looked good, man. He looked good. He looked like he was ready for the fight. The Izzy that we saw last time out, just listless and kind of like not willing to engage and just kind of just willing to honestly let the fight, be taken from him. That was not the Izzy we saw tonight. This was an Izzy who was ready to fight a man who he did not underestimate under any circumstances. He actually was defending takedowns. He was fighting well in the clinch. If he was taken down, he was fighting back up. And that was the thing that I was actually happy about seeing. As far as the wrestling from Dracus, it wasn't technical by any means, but it was effective. When wrestlers lack the technique, they will use power. And if anyone has power in this fight, it was Dracus, and he was a fucking hoss in there. He basically bulldozed through as many times as he had to just to be able to figure if he can take Izzy down or even just, blast double in the middle of the cage to fucking get an ankle pick, But whatever he had to do, he was willing to do to get the takedown. And that was actually pretty admirable, especially coming from somebody who's not that well rounded with the wrestling part of the game. As far as Izzy, though, after the second round, he just kind of looked sluggish. Like he just looked tired. Not exhausted, but just less active. And you could see that play out throughout the fight. Matter of fact, in the fourth round, right before he got the tap Drakus got the tap from Izzy, he pointed down at the mat. And there's a point where I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, why are you doing that right now? And then immediately gets bull rushed from Drakus, clipped, taken down, and then just kind of manhandled into a submission. And that's the thing, you can look at Drakus and say, you know what? Whatever he lacks the technique, he's got just enough power and just willingness to fucking hoss somebody. And that's the thing. Like, despite his inability to look great, but like if you're gonna grade it, like if there is a grading gymnastic scale that exists out there, shout out to A.K. Lee. He is the guy you would be like, oh God, your technique sucks. God, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. And yet he would somehow meddle just because, willingness and determination, God bless his soul. That's who he is. He's just the guy who wins despite not looking good. Awkward as fuck. But as far as the questions are concerned, Drakus, I think, has the ability to defend the title multiple times. There's no way that he can't. He's literally beaten the three best fucking middleweights in this division.
Yeah.
Like, he's done the thing. He's young enough to continue defending the title, and on top of it, he's just exciting enough to make you look at him and go, you know what? He can lose to anyone in these fights, but he's going to make it a fight regardless. And that's what you can say about his whole journey in the UFC. He should lose this fight. Fuck, he won. Oh shit. Okay. He's going to lose the next one. Oh shit, he won. Okay. All right. There's no way he should win this one. Holy fuck, he fucking did it. Okay. All right. Oh, there's no way he's going to win this one. There's no way. There's no way. Oh my God, he did the thing. Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know how he did it, but he fucking did it. As far as Izzy, he takes one more fight at middleweight, and the fight that he takes is Khamzat Chimaev, win, lose, or draw in his next fight. That's it. He takes on that fight because he's already fought everybody else. That's it. Win, lose, or draw. Now, depending on how that fight turns out for him at middleweight, is what leads me to believe that either he'll retire from the sport or move up to 205. Because if he realistically isn't willing to cut down to 185, and he looks significantly stronger, more muscled in this fight than he has in his previous fights. And I think that kind of played into it. He's older. The weight's not getting easier to cut. And on top of it, he was a lot heavier. I think that played a factor into it. So, like, realistically, that's the only fight that would make sense for Izzy, unless he wants to rematch Costa, which I have no issue with that at all. But the only other fight that would make sense is him fighting Khamzat or just taking a middleweight fight that's within the top 10. That's not a rematch. Absolutely a rematch. Because even if he was to fight Strickland, it's a one-sided fight. That didn't really mean a whole lot in the aftermath.
Sorry, just to interrupt. I believe Izzy has said he's staying at 185.
Yeah.
Because also, I believe Alex Pereira has said he might come down to 185 for one more fight.
Why? Why?
To which Drakus replied that to Alex, no.
Up.
Yeah, don't come down, I'll go up. Which, quit with this fucking moving up and down shit. Fucking stay and defend your goddamn belt.
Yeah.
Exactly. Stop. Yeah, what the fuck, bro? Come on.
All I'll add on this one, because I think you guys covered it all pretty well, is that I didn't love it at first, but looking back on it now, with hindsight in the light of day, it was nice to see those two embrace afterwards and kind of exchange their respects. And DDP was very respectful in his post-fight interview and etc. And then Izzy made a post on social media, calling Drakus a true African champion. So it seems that they've squashed whatever beef they had, so that's nice. And then also shout out fucking Drake for losing $450,000 on Izzy last night, close to fucking $500,000, which is absurd. Which is pocket change to him, but either way,
It's the only good thing Drake has ever done, picking Izzy in that fight.
DDP did put out a tweet and said, "From the bottom of my heart, once again, thank you, Drake." So,
two things real quick. What is it? I knew we were in trouble. Yeah, like when Drake has played the South African national anthem. I knew we were in trouble. I knew we were in trouble when that started. And then secondly, yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, the sportsmanship is a thing I do like to see. That is the thing I'm happy that I got to see that from these two guys who were so, adamant about, being almost blood enemies at one point, but that's good.
Yeah, they shared their embrace, so it seems like all the squabbles have been settled. All right. Oh, okay. Well, cut that part out then.
No, you're not the boss of me.
You tell him, Dave.
Shit.
All right.
As
Rewind.
these guys will learn later, the power of the editor is unlimited.
Unlimited.
Yeah, he gets us a lot. He gets us.
Oh, actually, we did forget something. We're all forgetting something. It's time to rate this card. So, who wants to go first? What do you rate UFC 305?
I'll go. I know Mouse is going to need to reflect on this a little bit more, but
I actually have it written down on a script in front of me. So,
all right, go ahead by all means.
no, you jumped in. I'll let you go.
Okay. For me, I was excited. I was on the edge of my seat for the feature bout, and then the co-main event caught me completely off guard. The Jairzinho fight with Tai Tuivasa. It was entertaining when it got going, and then Pratis murdering the leech in front of our eyes also made me jump out of my seat. I wasn't sure if I saw someone die in the cage on Saturday, but thank God he's alive. The main event for sure sold it for me. I would say it's a solid 7.5, and the only reason why I'm giving it a lower scored is because of the ridiculous judging in the Tai Tuivasa fight, and then the fact that the co-main event ended as quick as it did, But that's neither here nor there. It was a great night of fights regardless.
Okay, seems I'm going to be the generous one this week. I thought the opening fight, Nicol versus Aguilar, was pretty good. The Eagle, because obviously that's the translation, sent Nicol to sleep with that wicked guillotine. The referee checking his arms and he was unconscious the next minute. Then we had Song versus Glenn, which I think was the one with the awful hematoma. Yeah, obviously, I've got in my notes that the corner had been covering it in huge amounts of Vaseline. That was a pretty horrible but memorable moment. Tom Nolan, Alex Reyes, nothing good. Nolan was kind of rushing into his attacks, but an okay fight. And then we had Burns versus Jenkins, which is kind of one of my favourite fights of the night. I did like Jack Jenkins. I'd like to see more of him. He's on my radar for 100%. And I did like the interview afterwards with DC saying, how soon did you notice the Body Shop was available? And Jack Jenkins' incident answer was about 4 weeks ago when they called me for the fight.
As always, it's the striking. How early did you recognize that left body shot was going to be available and you could take advantage of it?
About 4 weeks ago when they called me.
And he promised violent, in-close, high-paced fights in the future. So that's what I'm hoping for from seeing from him. We had the Ramos or Hamos Culibao fight, which was my clown moment of the card because Culibao really, really messed that fight up. He could easily have won it, probably in round 2, and he didn't. He played around and it cost him the fight. We had the entire controversy with the Taffer versus Walker verbal tap, which is a thing. Check the rules, guys. It is there. So I actually was... then we've had the main card that we've all just discussed. I was hovering backwards and forwards on this. I'm actually going to give it an 8.9. I had a super fun time watching this fight. So yeah,
Of course you
8.9.
did.
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah, like I said, that came as a complete surprise. I genuinely thought Izzy was going to win it. I presumed is going to be. I even looked at the time left on the video I had to watch, and I was like, yeah, Izzy's going to win this one. It's going to be a decision. And yeah, so yeah, super happy. Well done, my man, the true champion of Africa.
You guys pretty much covered all of it. All in all, it was a fun night. I always enjoy the cards in Australia. I like the Australian people and the crowds. I like how they show up and they get loud and they go nuts. A couple of moments of tomfoolery and malarkey with judging and then performances from certain guys. Fuck you to Junior Taffa for slapping Walter Walker after the fight like a total bitch. Like, you screamed out like a little girl. Know the fucking rules. Also, Burns, fucking Herbie. Yeah, God, what the fuck are you doing in here? Like, that, I almost felt bad for the guy. Yeah, all in all, it was a good time. And I did say last night, leading up to the main event, like as they were making the walks and doing the intros and shit like that, and as the fight was starting, that was the first time I had felt that feeling since Max versus Gagey at 300. Like, I was on pins and needles for that one, and I didn't even really have a dog in the race. Like, Israel's not my favorite guy, and I don't particularly hate DDP. It was just, the fucking energy for that one. But I'm not going to be as generous as Dangermouse, but I think I'll be a little bit more generous than Austin. I'm going to give it an 8. Yeah, I'm going to go an 8 on this one. It was a fun night.
My man.
This is the first time I'm at the bottom of the of the ratings.
Might be, yeah.
I don't hate Australia, by the way.
Take consolation in the fact that you beat Chattery at least, if nothing else.
All right, gents. Something a little different here for us and the viewing audience. A little backstory here for our listeners. I posed a question to the boys a few days ago to give them some time to ponder on a topic, and I'm quite interested to hear their ideas or lack thereof. So here is the question that I presented. Now, suppose for a minute that you're appointed the head of the PFL. Turkey brings you in for a sit down, and he tells you that all of his resources are at your disposal. Now, you have unlimited financial backing for a period of 5 years. All he asks is that at the end of that 5-year period, the PFL is a viable competitor to the UFC, either profit-wise or viewership numbers, either one. Now, what changes do you make as the head honcho within the company and as a brand to truly compete with the UFC in one of these avenues? So, more or less, how do you differentiate yourself as a brand and product to garner more eyeballs and or more profit? Now, you can answer these sarcastically because we are kind of assholes around here, but I'm genuinely interested to see if you guys came up with any actual ideas. So, who wants to go first?
Mouse, you should go first.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I was just going to volunteer anyway. So yeah, the first thing is obviously I'm going to give myself a huge salary. Now I'm not greedy. I'm not greedy. I'll say 20 million a year. That'll do it for me. But I do mean 20 million pounds, not your silly little Yankee dollars. Thank you very much.
Oh, fuck off.
And of course, even despite the fact you just said that, equally silly salaries for all of the JBR crew too. Free steak.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Back off, yeah. Free steak for life for Chattery. Free steak for life for Chattery, and tuna for Stephen, the unmentioned member of our team at times. And then the first event, of course, I'm going to have Eminem performance before the fights kick off. I'm debating between 3 and 5 songs. Till I Collapse, Higher, of course, Lose Yourself. That'd probably have to be the last one. But Cinderella Man and Survival might be in there as well if we're going for the 5-song thing. And then the main event, I don't really care about the undercard too much, but the main event we're going to go Dakota Decheva versus Joanna Jacek, just because I know that Dakota's a fan of Joanna and she'd enjoy a fight against one of her heroes. No other real reason. Although I guess seeing to see Joanna again might be quite fun. Although I suspect it wouldn't end well for her if that fight happened. And then after that, to cut a long story short, I'm going to fly around the world on private jets, fail spectacularly to achieve anything great with PFL, but try and have an enormous fun failing. I do have some slightly more serious points, but it's up to you whether you want me to go into those or not.
I mean, if you got a serious one, you go ahead and throw it out there.
Yeah, I've got a few little bits that Austin could probably elaborate on. First thing, I'd put all the prelims on YouTube, worldwide, no restrictions. The main events, main events I'm going to put on probably either Amazon or Netflix, again, worldwide, so that anyone can get them. Because I've noticed something with one, I can't, even if I'm Amazon Prime subscribed, I can't get those events on Amazon. The other option is to make the one-shot pay-per-views available, relatively cheap prices, like even something as stupid as $10-15, just to get them on the market. And then I'm going to keep it to 10 fight cards, the first 5 or 6 on YouTube, and then the top 5 or 4 left for the pay-per-views or whichever system you're using. I'm going to ramp up the marketing, aggressively pump out highlight moments for people to see. I'm going to go after signing new fighters really, really aggressively. There's that African PFL kind of institute/league coming up. I'm going to post that, promote that from the ground up, get a show about it maybe on some kind of TV station. I'm going to lose the stupid smart cage gimmick because that's awful and it doesn't need to be there. I'd give fighters a base entry level of pay, say 50,000 per fight, and short contracts, just 3 fights for the general part. And I would probably offer some kind of bonus to those fights, set in stone, as it were. So if you fight, we'll say it's a 3-fight contract, and let's say you beat each of your 3 contestants that you're up against, that's a 10k bonus that you're getting on top of your increase. So you've just gone from 50 to 60 for the standard 10k, and now you've got an extra 30k on top for the 3 fights you've just finished, or something similar in that line. Basically, reward for getting successes in your fights, which will promote fighters. And obviously, if fighters are earning a lot of money, suddenly they want to fight for the PFL. Despite the name of the UFC, you're still going to get those number of people. And you can continue that kind of scheme on until fighters are making about 250k, and then you're a star. If you're earning 250k, you can start making individual negotiations for that. And obviously, if you're dragging a bigger name into PFL, you can offer them a bigger contract to start with. They don't have to start at 50 grand. Lose the no-win lose bonus. You fight, you get paid. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose. Give bonuses out, obviously, according to how well the fights go, and make sure that at least one bonus comes on the prelims and another bonus comes on the main card. Another option would be to start a TV channel, and they kind of drag in some other MMA content. I don't know, Karate Combat, who they're linked with, whoever else basically is on the market that the UFC doesn't have its claws into yet. Maybe throw some 4 rounds Muay Thai in. That could be popular, especially if you're linking it into the TV show kind of thing. And that's about it. Those are my ideas for how they could possibly include things. Probably wouldn't put them into competition with the UFC, but there's some things to work off there, I think.
I think it might get them pretty close. A ring, hello. PFL's calling. Those are some fucking good ideas. I like that. That was more prep than I imagined.
I had time. I've warned you before. Give me time to prepare. I'm dangerous.
All right, Austin. You're the new Don Davis. What are you doing with the PFL?
Well, certainly as us as the promotion headliners here. First thing we're doing is we're acquiring one championship.
Oh.
We are acquiring none of their kickboxers, none of their Muay Thai fighters, none of their jiu-jitsu fighters. Primarily all MMA fighters only. We are acquiring all of their fighters and pretty much buying PFL, or not PFL. I'm sorry, One Championships MMA portion of their organization. We don't. It doesn't matter. They need the money. They're going to drown. They're going to fail regardless because they're a failed Muay Thai promotion that is trying to mimic or mask themselves as a MMA promotion when they're actually just Muay Thai with 4-ounce gloves, and that's fine. We'll get those people because we do need more international stars. We need more people that people like are willing to watch. That's the problem right now with PFL is there's no one that's not that there isn't stars. They don't have the amount of stars needed to keep people watching. Secondly, we open up more divisions. We give them pretty much fighters, that is, the ability to come in, and we have to, because by the end of this year, we should be getting the end of what is Bellator. We should be able to open up more divisions within the PFL itself. Introduce a 65-pound division, up 70 pounds to 175 pounds. Add a middleweight division for good measure, just because now you have a home for all of your fighters. All fighters in-house. You have over 200 plus fighters, almost 230 if you're actually looking at the numbers. Maybe more of a 250 at the most. But that's the thing. You have the numbers now. You had basically just acquired the second biggest roster outside of the UFC, and now you have the ability to bring them into the house. Give them the divisions to fight it. Secondly, with that, no more of the, playoff bracket. That's it. It's either going to be 16-man tournaments and possibly 2, divisions a year. And that's it. That's the most. Because when you got guys competing in the actual playoffs, you can't use elbows. Plus, the rounds are also shorter. Might as well make it a tournament from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Then on top of it, you have fighters that need fights. You have to up your actual shows to whatever you're doing. You have to at least give them 24 shows a year, at a bare minimum 2 shows a month, because you have to compete with content that the UFC is pumping out on a regular basis. They have over 45 to 43 shows a year, give or take 41 maybe at the least, and then closer to 50, not even including the Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter. They have all that content, right? You need to show people that you have the ability to pump out content. And what do you do to pump out content? You have fights. You have countdown shows. You have a pre-show. You have a post-show. You need to be able to give the people who are watching your content more ways to watch and more ability to watch your content. And you have to make it easier to digest. 4-hour blocks of just nothing but like bad broadcasting, late timed fights, and miscues from the production is not ideal. You need to do it all in-house or have somebody else do it. You can't mix and match these things. It has to play out ideally for the consumer. If we're watching a fight and in between rounds there's nothing going on, we're just watching the ring as if it's someone from the fucking balcony, not knowing who to fucking put it on. That's not good. That's not what you need. We also need to sign an actual deal that extends us within the 5-year gap, so that way we have time to promote what we're doing inside the actual MMA sphere on ESPN. We are currently locked in with ESPN. Extend it so it completes the 5-year deal that you're with the Saudis.
Yeah.
You have a home for the 5 years. You can work on things. Hey, does this work? No, toss it. Does this work? Yes, keep it. We have the ability to play. Secondly, or I should say, not secondly anymore. In addition to what our broadcasting situation is with whatever Bellator is going to be condensed after the year, condense it. You only need international PFL. You need a pay-per-view event PFL, and then fight nights. That's it. No more season. Just put on the product as is. You will also need champions. We need people who are defending belts on a regular basis. If you can look at those people and say, hey, that's someone I want to watch. That dude fucks people up. Great. Put him in a title fight. Give people a reason to watch. If you're just having fights for the sake of having fights, it doesn't always work unless the branding is behind you. They do not have that. They need that to happen. By doing that, you put fights in the fucking frame of the consumer. So the other thing you can do is also offer finishing bonuses. however the UFC wants to justify how they do bonuses, the PFL has to be able to just be better than that. Hey, if you finish your fight, here's 50 fucking K right there. You know, give these people another reason to put better fights out there. Like, people want to be entertained when they watch fights, especially casual audiences. Most degenerates are just going to be happy that there's fights. So give them a reason to differentiate themselves. Also, elbows are in, baby. We're back. We're back. We're back, guys. We're back. Last thing, no more USADA, and I personally am not on the same viewpoint as this point, but you have to do volunteer drug testing, because when you do involuntary drug testing, it unfortunately takes away from your product it's a byproduct of doing proper sports drug testing. Like, that's just unfortunately how it goes. And lastly, what you need to do is actually not compete with the UFC. So whenever they have Apex events, fucking go on that same day. Whenever they have pay-per-views, do not go on that day. Whenever there is opposition to you, like say BKFC or Cage Fury or fucking whenever somebody else is against you, do not limit your audience. You have to be able to go. Let's say if there's not a UFC event, that's a perfect weekend to go. If there is a UFC event, make sure it's a fucking Apex event, because no one's going to be watching you if the fucking UFC happens to be on that weekend. No one's going to care. If there's a boxing event, do not go on that weekend. If there's anything less than BKFC or any of the other third tier promotions that are out there, just know who you're going up against. You're asking this audience that is the hardcore fan to go out of their way to pay to watch you on a regular basis. And some of them are not going to actually pay to watch you. You're just asking for their attention dollars. And guess what? That's going to cost a lot, because not everybody has that much time to watch every single fight out there known to man, except if you're Brabaka Hitman, because that man is actually Lazybed. That's true. There's so many things we can do. There's so many things we could do.
As regards the KO bonus, I did put it in my notes. Maybe just make it a flat 50k KO bonus. You know, you knock someone
Just
out.
finishes. Just finishes. Finishes help. Finishes help. You want more finishes.
Yeah, any finish. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Then make the actual bonus 100k. So even if you're starting at the beginning, as I suggested, with 50k, you're still getting two fights salary for knocking someone out for getting the finish, or getting a bonus, should I say? And I actually thought they might keep the one rules for open formats, but keep the tournaments as they are, just to allow them to keep flowing. Because although I miss elbows, at the same time, I think the structure of the tournaments is quite decent. And obviously, I love my Dakota DeShaver, so I want to see a fight as often as possible.
I think basically what this shows us, and this was kind of my whole idea in this exercise, is that even us, just a couple of guys who like to watch MMA, who consume various forms of MMA content, podcasts, like Oz said, pre-shows, post-shows, all that sort of shit, if we can come up with, and I would say these are pretty good ideas, like you guys came up with some really good shit there. If we can come up with this kind of stuff, what the fuck is preventing them from doing it? You guys, the realistic stuff that you guys presented isn't anything outlandish that they couldn't pull off. So, you know, if you're the PFL and you genuinely want to be the co-leader, you know, fucking put your brains together, guys. Like, come on now.
Yeah, there's no reason how they can't. Like, I know half of it is that they're limited with what they have. I mean, the broadcasting situation with Bellator was not ideal. The fact that they have to allow Bellator to just slowly die, more or less, so they can fulfill their agreements, whatever the broadcasting deal was, and on top of it, allow the contracts that the fighters had signed last minute, basically, like with the Gegard Mousasi situation, you know, they didn't want to sign me for more money. No, because Bellator signed you for more money before they sold. There's a whole lot of issues with how Bellator handled themselves at the end there, and even then, it's like they were bought for monopoly money.
It's just like, every opportunity they have to make a decision, they don't even make a decent decision. They make the bad one.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that a lot.
I hope the best for him because I do like PFL. I do like some of the athletes on their roster. So, yeah, that was our how to invigorate PFL segment.
Hey, we're just a couple of Joes who watch fights. God forbid, they actually pay us to go out there and give them some. I'm available to be acquired for a price.
Yeah, bargain, 20 million a year.
yeah. Well, Mouse said also a studio.
Yeah.
The studio for each of us, so we could fucking do our shows from like a professional setting.
Okay, well, now it's time for the roundup within the roundup. That's right, we're cracking open the fridge and delving deep into the depths for another edition of Lazy's Leftovers. Small batch for you guys this week, just two things that I wanted to bring up real quick before we get out of here. First up, the scuffle kerfluffle post PFL on Friday night. It would seem that in an odd series of events, Friday after the PFL event in Hollywood, Florida, two UFC fighters would get into a bit of a dust-up on the local casino floor. Everyone's favorite orc and resident jughead, Marvin Vettori, reportedly took an errant swing at UFC bottom feeder Tuco Tacos, who was being flanked by his Killcliff FC teammate and ranked middleweight Brendan Allen. Amongst other fighters in attendance was one Michael Johnson, who is said to have cleared the citizens out of the way just as a charging Allen landed a nice two-piece with no biscuit on Marvin. The altercation was quickly broken up, but nevertheless, the videos and tweets had already gone out, to which apparently Dana White rapidly responded via Twitter, and he does not sound too concerned about this fight between the two in public. So, did you guys see this scuffle between these guys, and you got any thoughts on it?
I did not see this. The only scuffle I should have mentioned, I don't think we covered it, was Taffa slapping Walker in their fight. So no, I didn't see this one. No, they're fighters. Get into a bad situation. They're going to do stupid things. So yeah, not surprised particularly. I guess it's good for well, it's publicity, and no publicity is bad publicity, as they say. So yeah, PFL on the radar. Yeah, nothing to say other than that.
I think that Dana was quoted as saying it was probably the most exciting fight of the night at PFL. So, Austin, did you see it? You got any thoughts on it?
Actually, yeah, I did see the highlights because I tried to watch PFL. The house was a little crazy on Friday night, but I did trying to watch the Impa Kasanganay and Josh Silveira fight. But it looked as though standard Marvin Vettori just takes a bunch of strikes to the head and just doesn't really realize what's happening half the time. But no, I mean, hey, Brendan Allen trying to put his name out there, man. He's like one of the only fighters in the middleweight division on a ridiculous win streak right now, other than DDP. And good for him for trying to put it out there. Honestly, I don't know if he's good enough to face anybody above Vettori, but I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Vettori at this point. Why not? Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Props for sticking up for your boy, I guess, even though your boy is a fighter himself. I don't understand that part. But either way, yeah. I guess I think I said this somewhere. I'm not sure if it was on Discord or not, but apparently it's perfectly fine to fight outside of the octagon as a UFC fighter, so long as you don't piss off the matchmakers, Muhammad Makayev.
It's fair.
All right. And a second and the last bit of Lazy's Leftovers for today. The grandest spectacle in competitive submission grappling history went down over the weekend in Las Vegas. Yes, the first annual Craig Jones Invitational would blow into town and set crazy high precedents for all BJJ tournaments going forward. The stars were out, and so were the tiny spoons, as CJI offered up $2 million in grand prize cash and I'm sure one hell of an after party too.
Those beers all round.
Yeah. Fans in attendance looked to be more than stimulated as the event unfolded, with the previously mentioned top prizes going to Nicky Rod in the over 80 kilogram bracket and Kateru Tolo in the under 80 kilogram bracket. Lastly, in the two super fights of the night, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, Theone Davies and our guy Craig Jones were both victorious over their counterparts, with Davies tapping Mackenzie Dern via armbar and Jones vigorously finishing Gabby Garcia. And he even managed to do it before he finished himself. Good on you, Craig.
Way to go.
Oh shit!
I'll just come straight out and say that with the exception of Craig Jones kissing the lady he fought and provoking some kind of reaction, probably a setup, I would imagine. I know nothing about this event, so congratulations, Craig Jones. You kissed a very big woman and then beat her, apparently. So, yeah. Go sports.
Go sports. This is the thing. This whole thing was supposed to be a diversion of what the what is it, the Nogi contest, ADC
ADCC.
is supposed to be, yes, ADCC. They were supposed to be like, hey, look, man, we don't like how this thing's going over here. We're not a fan of how you're only paying the athletes X amount of money, which is, not an extremely livable wage, even less than most MMA fighters, honestly. But they basically were like, we're gonna fucking do this ourselves. We're gonna take a chance and we're gonna beat you. And they basically did. I mean, I was listening to some of the stuff that was being said about it, and pretty much like it's unanimous. Everybody loves what Craig Jones is doing over there. And yes, the ridiculously of the Gabby Garcia match and whatnot, all the things that are entailed in that, the OF situation. But everything else that's going on with Craig Jones and the whole Craig Jones Invitational seems to be on the up and up. And you know what? Hey, salute to those guys. They fucking did it, and I'm happy to keep up with whatever they're doing.
And I will add before we move on from that, I'm not sure about day 2, but during day 1 they had 1.2 million views. They had 130,000 concurrent viewers and 10.8 million Instagram impressions. So they apparently fucking crushed it. Just phenomenal job all around. Those are power slap numbers, baby. Yeah, good on you, Craig. Good on everybody involved. And then also, I will say that they were doing a lot of work for charity at this event. I believe one of the people that was helping to support the finances of this whole thing had agreed to match dollar for dollar every donation that they took. And then they also had a third mystery donor who was also matching. So 200% of every dollar that was donated to their various charities was, brought in. So I'm sure they made a lot of fucking money and they did a lot of good. So, shout out fucking Craig Jones, baby.
Yeah. You fucking nose beers, motherfucker.
Anybody got anything else? Because I think that's about it. I'm gonna wrap this thing up.
Oh, is Turkey the UFC of boxing? Yes, and the answer is yes, because he's apparently willing to stonewall boxers if they're not willing to play with his role. Yes, so yes, I answered my own question. Thank you very much.
I like that. That was short and sweet. Okay, well, you bludgers and bogans, it's been a fair dinkum show, but I do believe we're carrying on like pork chops. So it's about time we get out of here, and I head for the dunny. I got heaps in the chamber, mate. Don't double flush us. Don't double flush us, because we'll be back at you direct next week for Cannoneer versus Bohayo and all things from your week in combat sports. Until then, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell all your friends. Just Bleed Radio is the hottest thing in combat sports. Say goodbye to the people, guys.
Bye.
Later. Fucking Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
I love wallabies.
Put some shit.
He's on the piss. Lazybed, the danger, both taking rips. Super Dave, it's our tree mate. Gang's all here, so I wouldn't be late. So we say Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Say Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Holler Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Say Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Now, whoa, 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 just bleed radio. Say whoa, whoa, let's go. It's just bleed radio. Now, whoa, 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 just bleed radio. Say whoa, whoa, let's go. It's just bleed radio. Aussie, Aussie, oi, oi, oi. Say Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Holler Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Say Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Now, whoa, 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 just bleed radio. Say whoa, whoa, let's go. It's just bleed radio. Oi, oi. Now, whoa, 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 just bleed radio.
Fuck you, Craig. You're too late as usual.
Son of a bitch, Craig.
Fuck you, Craig.
I hate Kamaru Usman, man. This dude always just pours just trash in my cereal.
You wouldn't see any Mr. Rogers sweaters out of Kamaru Usman, I'll tell you that.
Mr. Rogers is an American hero, okay?
No doubt.
He's an icon.
He's just not fashion forward.
I mean,
Hey, but you will see Kamaru Usman wear a dress. I saw him wearing a dress.
stop.
He did.
Don't go there.
The fashion was too much.
Leave Usman alone.
Meow. Oh, shit. 'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Yeah.